Ladies and gentlemen, we stand here today at a turning point, one that forces us to face the harsh realities of our modern world and the systems we've allowed to shape it. One of the clearest examples of this is the fashion industry. Once a craft centered around purpose, quality, and human need, it has become a symbol of excess, waste, and exploitation. Let us start with fast fashion, the second largest polluter in the world. Fast fashion is built on the constant production of cheap clothing made with synthetic materials that pollute our soil, our water, and the very air we breathe. These clothes are produced quickly, worn briefly, and discarded just as fast. What happens to them then? Africa has become the world's dumpster. In places like Ghana's Kantamanto markets, millions of garments arrive each week. 40% of them they are completely unsaleable. They clog waterways, devastate local economies, and burden communities that did not create this crisis. This is not charity, it is exploitation. And behind this flood of waste are the workers, women and children in Bangladesh, India, and Cambodia paid pennies to produce these clothes in inhuman conditions. They work in unsafe factories, breathing chemicals, enduring exhausting shifts, all to keep prices low for consumers and profits high for corporations. Fast fashion is cheap because someone else is paying the price. And we must also acknowledge that those clothes are made of cheap synthetic materials, laced with toxins. These toxins don't just harm the environment, they harm us. The skin, our largest organ of our body, absorb these chemicals, posing health risks that most of us don't even realize. But the problem doesn't stop at cheap clothing. At the other hand of the spectrum, we have the luxury fashion industry, which markets itself as exclusive. Luxury brands often rely on the slaughter of exotic animals, crocodiles, snakes, and bears to produce bags, shoes, belts for those who can afford them. Of course, these animals are killed, their habitat destroyed, and they diminish with time, all in the name of vanity and the waste. Luxury brands are no exception. Unsold products are burned or destroyed to maintain their image of exclusivity. This means more pollution, more toxins, and more unnecessary harm to the environment. So we must ask, why does this happen? Why do we allow this cycle to continue? Well, the root of the issue lies in capitalism. Fashion today is no longer about meeting human need. It is about excess. It is about to produce and far more than the world needs, because that is what drives profits and who fuels this demand. Influencers, marketers, and media bombard us with messages telling us to buy more, convincing us that happiness, self-worth, and success can be purchased. We are sold an illusion, one that leaves us chasing a temporary rush of dopamine. But that rush fades quickly, and we are left emptier than before, trapped in an endless cycle of consumption. This is more than an environmental crisis, it is a social one. We live in an individualistic world, disconnected from one another, from nature, and even from ourselves. Depression and anxiety arise as people seek meaning in things rather than connections, and capitalism profits of this emptiness. Meanwhile, malls grow faster than mushrooms, artificial spaces where we dump our money, stores filled with meaningless products that they will finish by being destroyed, and we harm again the environment. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a problem without solution. Change is possible, but it starts with us. The path forward. Reduce production, factories and brands must cut production, prioritize quality over quantity. Clothes should be made to last, not to be discarded. Hold the brands accountable. Both fast fashion and luxury fashion must adopt ethical practices ending wasteful destruction, animal cruelty, and exploitation of workers. Protect our planet and its people. We must end the use of exotic animals and replace harmful materials with sustainable alternatives. Stop using Africa as a dumpster. Wealthy nations must take responsibility for their waste and implement circular economies that reuse and recycle materials. And then we have to embrace the slow fashion. The slow fashion movement focuses on mindful consumption, ethical production, and sustainability. It respects the planet, the people, the animals, then, which means the environment. Challenge influencers and advertisers. Instead of promoting overconsumption, influencers should use their platform to encourage sustainability and conscious living. And we don't have to forget about rebuilding community. As individuals, we must become mindful consumers. We can reduce waste, repair what we own, and reconnect with what truly matters, which is people, nature, and the purpose. Together, we can reconnect with our values, our communities, and our environment. It is time to act for the planet, for its people, and for the future generations. Thank you, Sara Erraissi.